My Adventures with Superman Season 2 had everything. A concise story, drama, character building. The one thing I can say I didn't like about this season was the breakup angle. I don't think it was necessary, but to each his own. It's in there. It builds their characters up even more. We know they're going to get back together, but let's relive My Adventures with Superman Season 2 because I think it's pretty fun. So if there's one thing you all knew I had to come back and talk about, it's My Adventures with Superman. Season 2 was started, the end of last year is when Season 1 premiered, and not even a year later, Season 2's now here. I'm starting to think these two seasons were made at the same time. Anyways, I guess the main way I have to structure this is to talk about the main plotline it seems they're going to be introducing throughout this whole season. Is going to be surrounding family drama. We started off instantly with this weird dream that Clark was having where his father was there, Lois was there, and they were all saying, hey, you're not human. Ding ding ding. That's another thing that's going to be going on throughout this whole season. He's going to feel alienated, pun intended, eventually from the rest of the cast and everything, and that might increase more or make him choose a different side when a different character is introduced that he started talking about in these two episodes. And, I cannot wait for this family drama to start taking place, and I'm gonna eat it all up, genuinely. And because of this dream and somebody else saying they saw something over this place, he decided to take Lois and Jimmy over to the Antarctica, and they found the ship. His ship. Still being taken over by the kryptonite, his father's there, barely living, or the holographic ghost of his father. Not only is it a ghost of his dead father, but it's also a holograph with his father's mind in it. It's a little complicated, and also, he can speak English now, even though he couldn't throughout the entirety of Season 1. And the whole thing about that was, it took a long time to download the English language. Did it take you 20 years? While I am making a lot of jokes, I did enjoy this explanation that Jor-El gave to Superman, talking about his planet dying, he's the only Krypton left, and actually, he's not the only Krypton left. There's somebody else still here. His cousin, Kara. Kara Zor-El. Supergirl. And I got 2 points I do want to make towards this. The first one, and I guess I do want to specifically talk about Kara. Her reveal that she was there did kind of surprise me, but it also let me know, okay, this entire season is going to be their mission of hunting down Kara, hunting down Supergirl, and her kind of getting assimilated into this group where maybe she's going to be bad. Who knows? Anything can happen. And because anything can happen, Lois doesn't like the idea. They both want to save family members. I don't know if I told you guys earlier, but Lois's dad has also been kidnapped by Task Force X. So 2 people. Both family members gone. Clark is able to put his emotions to the side and say, okay, Lois, I know your dad is important to you. I want to help you save him, even though he hates me, even though he's kidnapped me and has tortured me a lot. But on the other side, Lois is a bit stubborn. She doesn't know if Kara can be trusted. Kara's been here just as long as Clark has, but her fleet came here along with the failed invasion. Maybe she just might be evil. Maybe she's still doing this invasion thing that they were trying to do from the get-go. Lois. She came here as a baby. I don't think babies are knowledgeable on said missions. That could just be me. That could just be me being ignorant. But I don't think babies are completely aware of any missions at hand. I could be wrong. I didn't see the trailer. Maybe she showed up in the trailer all evil and stuff, but I don't think babies are evil. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. And it's seeming like this small argument is going to continue to set up this weird dynamic throughout this season, because this is something they can't just talk about. Every time in these superhero shows, they just can't communicate with each other. I just finished Invincible, as you guys know, and it's the same thing in there. Partners just suck at communicating. If you guys ever just sit down, talk to each other, let both of you guys vent out all of your frustrations and just lay it all on the table, it'll be fine. It'll be completely fine. But every time someone gets cut off for something else more important. Clark gets cut off because we know where her father is now. So the entirety of the second episode is just about them saving the dad and helping them escape. We know Clark doesn't like the general. We know the general used to be the leader of Task Force X. We know he got usurped by Waller. We know Waller is a lot more sinister than he is. We knew that before this series ever started, to be honest. And Lois's dad just found out for himself that Waller is a bit crazy and way over his capacity of thinking. He had no idea they were using civilians as test subjects for these Kryptonian technology stuff. And then to put that sugar into the cake and put the cherry right on top of that cake, Lois's dad is talking about going off the grid, saying he's been compromised, saying he doesn't have a place to stay, he doesn't want to put Lois in danger or anything, he has to be on the run. But Lois, I'm gonna say dumb Lois, this is gonna be me saying dumb Lois. I was a Lois defender in the last season, but she really tested me at the end of this episode, I'm not gonna lie. She's really tested my patience. She said he can stay with Clark. I get it's your dad. Genuinely, I get it's your dad. Your dad's on the run. You don't want him to be far away from you. You want to know where he is. You're just gonna let him stay at your boyfriend's house that you've only known for like a couple months at this point? Why would you put him in a situation like that? What's the purpose of this? Also, just realized I never circled back to number 2 that I wanted to talk about. The second one was a little bit more of a broader thing. I wanted to talk about the Kryptonians in general and my lack of knowledge on them. I always compare Invincible and the Viltrumites and stuff to Superman and the Kryptonians, but I didn't know how far that extended. I didn't know that the Kryptonians were also these conquerors. I didn't know the Kryptonians were a bunch of conquerors as well. From my loose, 5-year-old memories from watching Superman the animated series, I think there were good guys in the Kryptonians and bad guys in the Kryptonians, and they were fighting and they had a war, and I thought that's what blew up the Kryptonian war. But in this series they're saying it was some other threat that they couldn't take out, and they had to send Kal-El and Kara away. They just so happened to both come to Earth. I am genuinely curious where this is going, where this series is going to take me. When is Superman just going to become super invincible? That's what I want to know. When is he just going to be like, take all these punches, they can't hurt me, I'm gonna knock them out super easily? I get that doesn't make for good storytelling, but I do just kind of want to see him in one match where he doesn't get slung around at least a little bit. I guess one of the only other important stuff to me that I haven't mentioned is earlier in episode 1, Jimmy was talking to this guy. He was all depressed and stuff because, you know, nobody wanted to pay attention to him, nobody wanted to look at his work or take him under as their apprentice or whatever. So Jimmy was over him and was like, yo dude, create your own path. Do you. I really think you could do this. Your work is genuinely amazing. And if you guys don't know, he was Ivar's assistant dude. His name was Alex. He's the one that created that weird suit that absorbed all of Superman's energy. And you see that part right there, you're like, man, what's the harm in that? What can this little guy Alex do, you know? Who knows? Until the end of episode 2. The end of episode 2 has Ivar potentially escaped and tried to go take out Waller, but before he could do anything, he, the assistant guy, presses a button and neutralizes him completely. And he doesn't introduce himself as Alex to Waller this time. He introduces himself as Lex Luthor. As somebody who doesn't know the backstory to how all of these people came to be and just remember them being antagonists in Superman the animated series, I did not expect that to happen. Why does Lex have hair? What is this, the Snyderverse? Of all honesty, I am liking the way this season started off a lot more than the way that season 1 started off. It seems like this season might be a little bit more focused than the last season. The last season was very episodic in nature but had like the overarching story in the background. This one feels like it's going to be more forefront, and I genuinely hope it is. With the big overarching thing that might be in the background is the impending thing of, when are they going to see Kara? Is she going to be evil? Is she not going to be evil? I feel like that's going to be the big question throughout this season, and I genuinely cannot wait to know. I don't expect her to be Supergirl or anything by the end of this season. Maybe by next season she could start trying to do the Supergirl thing, but I do just expect them to see her within here and for her to make some huge choice. So I've just seen season 2 episodes 3 through 7 of My Adventures with Superman, and oh man, this is such a good season, so much better than season 1. So in fact, I had to write down a little bit of notes here and there, so if you see me look over, just know, hey, I'm looking at some notes that I want to cover within here. One of the big things I did want to talk about throughout these couple of episodes that I've seen is the theme of communication because everybody just seems to suck at talking to each other. Lois and Clark can never talk about anything. Hey, I need to talk about this thing about my cousin. Oh no, I gotta do something else. Hey, I need to talk about my dad. Oh nope, sorry, I gotta talk about my job. Nope, I can't do that either. Everybody sucks at communicating with each other. Lois and her dad never seen eye to eye. Every time Lois tries to get close, he runs off. And Lois tries even more, he runs off again. You think in one of these episodes it would be different, but it ends with him running off again. And even Jimmy has flaws of communicating also for some reason. Him and Clark are supposed to be best friends, but he found out Lex Luthor, the guy he gave a pep talk to a couple episodes ago, has created this company and created a whole campaign around aliens and Superman, saying no aliens are allowed here, Earth is for Earthlings. He doesn't want to talk about it with Clark either. Well, some people not communicating in this show, it's starting to piss me off a little bit. Clark and Lois easily feel like the most important characters to me. It feels like this entire story is written around them and their struggles of seeing their relationships with other people and whether they'll stay together or not, because apparently they have a hard time staying together. And where the last episode left us off, Clark is now also housing Lois's father. How long can this last? Not long. I think it ends in the same episode it starts, really. Maybe the next episode. But the first episode I saw, episode 3, was really about this company Ameritech and how fucking stupid their leader is. And there's not really much to say about this episode. I wanted to just say a couple of things. One of the main things is Silas Stone and John Irons making an appearance. I'm not as familiar with John Irons, but I know he is a name and character that I should know later on within here, maybe. I do know who Silas is, though. Please tell me we get Cyborg one day in this series. That'd be pretty cool. They did say it's like 10 in here, though, but I wouldn't mind a 10-year-old Cyborg. That'd be funny. But the entire point of that episode was to just transition Ameritech into LexCorp, because Lex Luthor has come to take over and he's going to continue to take over. And then the episode after that is the Star Labs presentation, where he invites Jimmy to come on stage and present something with him during that event. And he brought Clark there as a +1, but it turns out the entire event was a campaign against Superman, the Superman problem. And while Jimmy's sitting there trying to praise Superman, say, oh, he's here for good, he's here, he does good for us, he chooses to do good, he's never going to use his powers for evil. And Lex Luthor says, yes, he chooses to do good, but what if he decides to do evil? Kind of reiterating what we've heard Waller say before every now and then. Even in other series, she says stuff like this. And the speech is pretty interesting. You can tell it's not for the general masses, because the normal masses are going to be like, okay, I mean, he's doing good now, what does that matter? But what's important is that he was able to convince the Pentagon, the law, and Star Labs itself to kind of help fund the Superman issue. They're gonna start funding all of these different technologies to take out Superman. I'm so happy that Lex Luthor took over Ameritech, because one of my complaints within here was going to say a lot of the technology these scientists and stuff are working on within this series just kind of looks the same. I don't know if they're just very low on assets or something in this show, but a lot of things people are building just look the same. And they were able to get away with it for the most part with everything that Task Force X was doing, because they were doing things inspired by the Kryptonian tech they were working on. But then Ameritech popped up and they built some robots that weren't inspired by the Kryptonian tech, and they just still looked the same for some reason. It's weird, right? I think it's weird, but you know, with all of it under the same conglomerate now, I guess it's better that the tech looks the same now. One of the underlying parts about this episode was Superman feeling like an other. He doesn't even want to be called Superman. I should have said Clark. My fault, man. He's afraid that Jimmy only wants him there because he's Superman. They invited him because he's Superman's best friend after all, so you're only inviting him because, hey, here's an alien I can talk about. No, he wants him there because he's Clark, his best friend. That's why he wants him there. And Clark's kind of happy about that, but then, they're ambushed him with all this Superman problems. Superman's a bad guy. What if he starts doing something evil? We gotta stop him. And he's kind of a little upset from that. And obviously Jimmy is a little surprised with this also. He doesn't know how to react towards this. And then Lex Luthor turns around and thanks him. He thanks him for inspiring him and says if it wasn't for him, he wouldn't have decided to done this. So now Jimmy kind of feels like he's the problem, so he ends up running away. He's trying to avoid Clark at this point because, he just kind of feels like he's the problem. Which in a way, He is, but I don't think it's wise to run away from a guy who's already feeling like an other, surrounded by people who's telling him he's an other, he's an alien, he's a freak, he should stay away. Well, the B story of this episode is about Lois and her dad, and might I say right now, I don't like Lois's dad. I don't like Lois's dad at all. But to be fair, you're not supposed to like him in this story. He's supposed to be seen as the other. He was the former leader of Task Force X. He captured Superman in the last season, tried to interrogate him, tried to tell him that he is evil. And now to be in a situation where he has to live with who we know as Superman, all because Lois wants him in her life, is quite interesting. Well, we'll see a weird juxtaposition later on. But Lois arrives, and he's trying to run away. He's trying to get away from this whole situation because he's like, Waller's after me. I have to go. And she won't let him. She follows him, only to find out he was getting ambushed and tricked by Waller's goons. Slade Wilson, whom I add, it's so weird that they decided to have Slade Wilson be a snarky, like, young adult. It's a weird decision, right? But since he got ambushed, oh boy, does he want to run away now. But he's going to listen to Lois out, because throughout this whole episode, we've been getting backstory of how he's been treating Lois this entire time, and saying he's been preparing her for the outside world because the outside world is a dangerous place. He works for the government after all. He knows how dangerous the outside world is. Lois just wants him there, man. She just wants a father for once, bro. Like, gift that to her. So he's trying to. He decides, hey, I'm gonna stay with my daughter for a little bit, and I'm gonna see if this works. Let me trust her. The minute she goes off to get him something, he runs off. He disappears. He's gone. He's off the grid. He's on the run. He's swum across the ocean to China or something. I don't know. He's just gone. And now Lois is kind of sad and feeling like an other, and it didn't help that when Clark was listening in on them, he called him weird. He said, hey, Clark is weird. And she was like, yeah, he is. And he didn't hear the rest of that conversation. He instantly flew up and was like, yeah, I'm definitely feeling like another right now also. And he didn't even pick up when Lois tried to call him, and since he's feeling so alone and so by himself at this point, he clicks on the beacon. Him and Lois have yet to talk about this, so he's right there contacting Kara, Supergirl, right now without anybody knowing what he's doing, and she arrives in the next episode. I'm gonna be honest, I've seen a few people complain here and there about her design, saying she's a little too inspired by Android 18. I don't mind it. I really don't care. I think she looks kind of badass. I think it's a cool homage, you know? She's cool. Superman's cool. Dragon Ball Z is cool. It's all cool. Also, I have never cared for Jimmy more than I do right now. I think it's safe to say at this point that I'm a huge sucker for romance in a lot of different shows, and nothing's really an example of that point until now, where we're seeing Jimmy talk to Kara, get her acquainted with earthly traditions, show her what ice cream is. It's all so cute and lovely. Let her eat a hot dog. What's going on here? Why is my heart fluttering like this? Jimmy's doing all this so he doesn't have to talk to Clark still, because he's still kind of weirded out about the whole Lex Luthor thing. And Kara's there because she wants to see her cousin, who we know is Clark. Always weird juxtapositions here. I love it. I love it. So they go around the whole day on a bunch of different trips and festivities and just doing a lot of different things. Also, Jimmy can feel better about himself and it's like, hey, I've been avoiding my friend. Let's go see my friend and then we can help you find your cousin. So they go to Superman's thing, whatever Superman's doing, and she's disgusted by the sight of her cousin doing this. What weird, disgusting earthly traditions is this? Flashing lights going on, weird, colorful paper falling from the sky, all these cameras around. Why are you doing this? Why aren't you trying to conquer this world? What's going on here, Clark? But he brushes her off to go talk to Lois because Lois is upset right now because basically this whole episode was about them doing this bachelor's contest, and she wanted to pretend like Superman was single so they wouldn't find out that Superman was Clark. So he obliges and she gets upset from it and she broke up with him. And the minute she did that, Kara came busting through. They had a great fight, mind you, a fantastic fight. But now, Superman is captured for the second time at the end of a season. This time by his cousin. She's taking him back to her home planet, her home spaceship. Basically, she's taking him to see her father. And this is what I mentioned earlier when I said weird juxtaposition, because Lois keeps trying to go back to her father, keeps trying to give her father all of these chances. I know he kidnapped Clark, but he's my father. I want to talk to him. Kara just kept kidnapped Clark and she's like, she's evil. We gotta take her out. I pulled up the kryptonite. We gotta throw it at her. We gotta hit her with the kryptonite. And Jimmy is trying to talk some sense to her, like, listen, you sound like your dad. He should have said Clark gave your dad a chance after he kidnapped him, but he didn't. That would have been a great point to add. But he just talked her down. Hey, talking works. Communicating works. This shows people have a bad problem communicating with each other. Just talk to one another. It works, I promise. And also, in a way, one of the themes throughout the story has been about, is Superman going to be evil? Is he not going to be evil? The entire Kryptonian Empire tried to conquer Earth before. Clearly, he's going to be evil, right? Lois got this thing showing a bunch of different dimensions of Superman where he is evil. What is this building up to? I guess it's building up to Kara. She's evil. She's for the Empire. She wants to conquer Earth in the name of the Kryptonian Empire. And she's trying to tell Clark all of this, but Clark isn't going to hear it. He doesn't want to destroy Earth, and she keeps saying, you're weak, you're stupid. But you can tell something's wrong. She kept pictures of her and Jimmy. She seems happy when they go outside and play this weird game of catch, but she's still adamant about her wanting to conquer Earth or wanting to go see her father or different stuff like that. And it's getting weirder when she's talking about the thrivingness of the Empire and they go to see one of the planets and it's in shambles. It's in ruins. What's going on here? I'll tell you what's going on. It's Brainiac. Brainiac's her father or her guardian or whatever. Her actual father's dead, of course. And he's calling shots here. He wants to bring forth his own version of the Kryptonian Empire. He's destroying countless of planets in the name of Krypton. And Kara, none the wiser, obliges. Not none the wiser. He brainwashed her. He's controlling her. But her love for Jimmy is pulling her out of it, slowly but surely. And now it's seeming like they might have captured Clark. They might have brainwashed Clark. They got him to kneel down to Brainiac, and he said that's all he needed to do to take over his body. So are we actually about to get an evil Superman right now? Are we about to get what this show feels like it's been building up for the past 2 seasons? An evil Superman about to destroy the world, and maybe Kara and Lois and them have to talk some sense into him. This Lois has to do the old I'm gonna hug you to calm you down type of situation right now. I feel like that's the only thing that can work in this situation. A la Katara when Aang first went into the Avatar state type stuff. So I've just seen the finale to My Adventures with Superman season 2, and Jesus Christ, this finale, this entire season has blown season 1 out of the water, and I just cannot wait to discuss it with you guys. I don't know if I was worried about the inclusion of Kara coming into the show, but there was a big worry in the back of my head that kept coming up to me, that were they just gonna redo what we saw during season 1 just with Kara this time instead of Superman? Will we now see her get introduced and slowly get acclimated to the group? Will we now see her take a lot of L's only to come out, hey, it's Superman but a girl? That's always a possibility with new shows. You never know how they're gonna do these characters. You never know if it's gonna be anything more than just a formula they've already previously laid out. But I do think I enjoyed what they did with Kara. I do think I enjoyed what they did with Supergirl. For the longest time, since early on in season 1, they've been teasing this evil Superman thing, and now it got flipped on its head. No, we're not getting an evil Superman. Supergirl is the evil one, and she's come to kind of try to recruit Superman into her coalition. And obviously we grew to know there was way more nuance to that. She wasn't necessarily just an evil Superman. She was being brainwashed by her father, Brainiac, who's now trying to use Superman as a vessel. And now we are going to get an evil Superman, just not Superman, it's Brainiac controlling Superman's body. So now hopefully we can drop this evil Superman talk, because we've gotten it twice this season so far. And while there's not anything necessarily new with Kara's character story that's going on within here, it's a good story. Somebody being brainwashed and evil and them finding out the truth for themselves only to retaliate against the person that was controlling them in the first place. Normally in character stories like this, it's most of the time the male character that ends up turning evil, and it's the female that has to come hug them, protect them, remember me type stuff. And we still got that because Superman did turn evil in here and Lois had to come in there and save them. But we also got it with Kara and Jimmy. They've really been building up this Kara and Jimmy dynamic, and it's forcing me to talk about Jimmy because I haven't been talking about him for this entire time. I don't gotta judge a comedy relief character. I don't have to critique comedy in a show unless it's just downright bad. But now I'm forced to talk about Jimmy because he has two major storylines going on within this season. He is responsible for Lex Luthor being a thing now. That's insane to have happened. And now he's responsible for Kara having that connection towards Earth. It's just everything about this season is just really good. The character writing was really on point with this season. And when I say I love this season, it was a little play on words for you guys because that's mostly the theme that was going on throughout this finale. Love, friendship, kindness, caringness, because Brainiac in itself is a robot. Again, story perspective wise, not necessarily the most new story to come upon the world. A computer that doesn't understand human emotions and everything is trying to do things by the book, trying to do things the most logical sense possible. Emotions are weak, you're weak, I will make you strong if you just stop thinking and let me control you. But I think Brainiac's role in that was pretty well, if you ask me. He really sold the part of I'm a computer. I don't know how you don't sell that, to be fair, but he's just really against love and kindness, and you can see that throughout this scene he was having with Superman where he was changing his memories right then and there. He was trying to make Clark second guess everything that happened throughout these previous seasons, all these memories that was happening with Lois. He's making him question everything because he's found out that because of his connection with Lois and Jimmy and his family, that's the reason he's strong. That's the reason he has the strength that he has, but it's also his biggest weakness. They're all in on it. He has no secret identity to them, so they're always going to be that target now, and this is just another villain trying to use them to get to Superman, and it kind of worked for a little bit. He was able to get Clark in this simulated world somehow, erase his memories and make it look like he's just been living on Krypton for this entire time with his family. But what he didn't account for was Lois also coming into this simulated world, into Clark's mind, to come and save him. Because although he was gone, he still kinda had his timid and shy and kind personality. He's still kind, he's still trying to feed these creatures even though it's the last of their kind, and he shouldn't be nice to them, which is what his mother says. That's not a me thing, but he's still him. He's still, at the end of the day, Clark. And Lois was able to speak to that Clark, apologize for everything she's been doing, apologize to the fact that she broke up with him like a couple of episodes ago, which again, I didn't like the fact that they broke up, but I get that this is mostly a character driven show, so characters are gonna have some drama. That's just the way shows work. But they got back together and was able to escape that simulation. And speaking of love, romance isn't the only way to show this theme throughout this season. They also show it through the form of family, throughout Superman's love for his cousin Kara, an unrequited love you would have for family. And this is important for Kara's story specifically because she's always felt so alone. Nobody was there that could relate to her, nobody was there that could talk to her or anything. She only had this computer, this emotionless computer that doesn't trust her, that is only trying to benefit himself. So now finally she has Superman, she has Kal-El, she has Clark, someone who she can relate to, someone who could have been like her easily, but because he grew up on Earth and found a beautiful family and has friends, he's not alone. And now she's starting to learn to be herself and everything. It's beautiful, and that was definitely necessary throughout this entire season, especially during this finale. Things could have gone really south really quickly when she sacrificed herself. He went to save her. Sun gives them powers, so it's completely fine. They get their energy from the sun. And speaking of the sun thing, if Brainiac is supposed to be this all-knowing Kryptonian computer, the brains of Krypton, why didn't he know about the sun being the source of Krypton's powers? Why didn't he know that the sun was going to kind of nullify the kryptonite stuff that they were going on with their bodies at that point? Why didn't he know that? I feel like he should have known that, honestly. Anyways, this theme was so strong, and with the power of love, they were able to save the day. And now they're this big jumbo squad of 4. They're able to communicate with each other more now. Clark and Lois are able to talk about things. She told him about the job offer, and he's like, dude, I've been thinking about this. I could fly back and forth in like 5 minutes. We can make this work. She was like, hey, I didn't take the job offer. I want to be my own person. And that's all I was asking for in the last video. It's like, dude, guys, you guys are like 20 something. Just communicate with each other. That's all you need to do is talk about your stuff. Talk about your feelings with one another. That's it, guys. And luckily they were able to do that in like this last minute of the episode. Finally sit down, have conversations with one another. I really like that. And it was a great visual to see at the end of them flying off to some danger, Superman holding Lois and Kara holding Jimmy. This show is a sucker for romance, and honestly, also being a sucker for romance, I'm super here for that. But that's really it when it comes to this season 2 finale, although I do have some speculation I want to say when it comes to season 3. What can it be about? I feel like they were building Brainiac up for these past 2 seasons. I have no idea what season 3 can be about at all. I do know at San Diego Comic-Con they revealed some concept art for Superboy. Why are we bringing Superboy into this now? Are we just gonna bring a different Superman-esque character in every season? What's going on here? What kind of character will Superboy be? Who cloned him? Was it Waller? Did Lex Luthor do it? Who did this? I'm really trying to sit here and think, what type of story could they tell with Superboy? The only thing that could come to mind is if he is a clone of Superman and he's like a younger version, maybe like a teenage version of our Clark. I feel like that could work. It could be like his little brother and he could try to show him the ropes and everything, and there'd be another instance of him being evil and Superman trying to make him good, and he'll end up joining their team by the end of it. I think they're just going to retell this story again with Kara. I'm not sure how this is going to be. I don't know. Yeah, Justice did it good. Hopefully my Adventure of Superman can do it good as well. I really don't have any clue what they could do with Superboy, but Superboy is going to be here in season 3, and I'm super down for that. With that being said, what are your opinions on the season 2 finale of My Adventures with Superman? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll get back to you guys as soon as I can. Leave your opinions on what you think can happen with Superboy in season 3 as well. I'd really like to know. I have no clue what could happen at all. But yeah, with that being said, I'll see each and every one of you around next time. Okay, goodbye.